Have you ever looked around the room and thought, why wasn't my name put forward? You've led the projects, delivered the results, done everything right. So why are you being overlooked? Welcome to the Your Next Move podcast, the show for high-performing professionals who want to be seen for their brilliance, speak with influence, and accelerate their path to leadership. I'm your host, Kimberly Brown, international career and leadership expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author of Next Move, Best Move. If you're ready to turn up the volume and finally get seen, heard, and respected inside and outside of your organization, you're in the right place. Let's head into today's episode.
Welcome back to episode 115 of the Your Next Move podcast. I'm Kimberly Brown, and today we are talking about something that I think holds a lot of people back from stepping onto stages, big and small, and that is the belief that there is only one way to be a quote-unquote good speaker. You know what I hear all the time? I'm not inspiring enough. I'm not funny enough. I don't have a dramatic story. I'm not like insert famous speaker's name here. And here's what I want you to know. You do not need to be like everyone else. You need to be like you. And there isn't just one type of speaker. There are actually 5 main types that I teach my clients inside of the visibility shift. And each one is equally powerful, equally valuable, and equally capable of changing lives and building incredible visibility for your personal brand. So today I'm breaking down the 5 types of speakers and helping you figure out which one you are or which ones, because yes, you can be a blend, and showing you how to lean into your natural style instead of just trying to copy someone else's. But before I dive into the 5 types, I want to talk about why this even matters. I am someone who can personally be deeply influenced and deeply intimidated by folks who are at the top of their game. So I want to tell you a story. Last spring, I was at an event where the goal was to capture footage for my speaker's reel. And y'all, I've been speaking for nearly 15 years and I still didn't have a reel. Some folks may think that this is insane, but I honestly never needed one. I have a ton of clips and full-length talks that I can share. So in my booking guide, it was never a question if I really was a speaker. I had all of the proof. Anyways, back to the event. The day before the actual event, I had a sound check. And while I was waiting for my turn to get on stage, I saw other speakers prepping. One woman literally had a piece of paper with a chart of where she was going to stand to hit certain points in her speech. It was like X's and O's, like a football coach. Another speaker was chatting with the tech team and asking a ton of clarifying questions about the setup. Honestly, none of these questions crossed my mind. And when I tell you I started to get nervous, y'all, I felt the nerves down my spine. And before I crashed out, like the kids say, I went back to my hotel and I had to coach myself and say, like, you know what? I do this. Okay, people pay me to come speak to their teams, to their employees, to lead their conferences. Like, I keynote. I was the 3rd speaker that next day in the lineup of speakers. And after you give your talk, another reason why I was really nervous is because the founders of the organization gave you feedback in front of an entire live audience. So all the other speakers who'd be recording their footage over the next 2 days, plus guests, some people invited speakers bureaus to come watch them perform or clients, like it was a thing. So I was like, not only am I speaking in front of other speakers, I'm getting feedback about how I speak in front of other speakers. But you know what they said when I finished? So after you finished your talk, you had to walk down these stairs and sit in the front row. And then the organizers got on stage and spoke to you. The stairs, mind you, there was not like a rail. I remember thinking to myself, girl, you are going to fall, because my legs were shaking. One of my fears is like getting feedback like in public situations. I'm very much like, talk to me in private, bring me behind closed doors, like give me my feedback there. My legs were shaking. I remember going down those stairs and I was like, girl, don't fall, girl, don't fall, girl, don't fall. I did not fall, thank goodness. But you know what they said? This is what it looks like to witness someone who is a natural on stage. She is a professional speaker. And then they gave this disclaimer about how some of the feedback they were giving is going to be more technical for more advanced speakers. And they talked about my cadence, my tone, and they talked about ways for me to increase my storytelling ability. Y'all, I was floored. I feel like it was an out of body experience. And I actually won an award for my performance that day and got amazing footage for my reel. So I will link my reel in the show notes because I'm very proud of it. I absolutely positively love it. And if you're someone who speaks, one of the reasons why I decided to create a reel is because it helps you increase your speaker's fees when you have a really good reel for someone to watch. But in that day, in that story, I had to give myself permission to just be me. If I let everybody else around me influence how I showed up on stage that day, I could have gone home and started putting X's and O's on a piece of paper and like, oh my gosh, like figure out what it is. But I had to lean into what felt natural. And that's when I thrived. The most powerful speakers aren't the ones trying to be everything. They're the ones who know exactly what type of speaker they are and they own it. Having too many notes for my decks makes me anxious about missing something versus just being in the moment with my audience. I rarely ask tech questions because I know that tech can fail and I have to keep rolling with the punches on stage. It does not matter if your slides don't advance when you're in front of 100 people at a conference. You have to keep going. You can't pause. This framework that I'm sharing with you is about giving you permission to be the type of speaker that's most aligned with who you naturally are. These 5 types are based upon both style, how you deliver, and audience, who you're speaking to, and what they actually need from you. And here's the best part, you can be a blend of multiple types. I know that I am, and most speakers are. So let's break them down. This is where you take out your pen and paper. So I'm excited. This framework is one of the most exciting things that I share inside of the Visibility Shift, but I go deeper, obviously. I'm not going to have y'all here forever on a podcast, but let's get into it. Type 1 is the motivational speaker. This is someone who has a story, usually a story of overcoming something really difficult, and they use that story to motivate their audience to believe that they can achieve their goals too. Think about speakers who've overcome addiction, poverty, illness, loss, or any major setback, divorce. Think about all the things. Their entire message is built around if I can do this, you can do it. Think of people like Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Inky Johnson, or Eric Thomas. Their personal transformation is the message. Motivational speakers highly leverage their personal story. Their story isn't just some opening anecdote, it's woven throughout their entire talk. And the goal is emotional connection and inspiration. They want you to feel something and leave fired up to take action. So if you think that you may be a motivational speaker, ask yourself these questions. Do you have a significant personal story or transformation about overcoming? Does sharing your story naturally inspire others to believe in themselves? Do you feel energized talking about your journey and seeing people emotionally moved? If you're nodding yes with me right now, you might be a motivational speaker at your core. And a little note here, you don't need to have a dramatic story to be motivational. Overcoming everyday struggles like career pivots, self doubt, imposter syndrome, or rebuilding after failure can be just as powerful. Next up, the second type is the thought leader. This is a very broad category, but here's the defining factor. Thought leaders have one big idea that they reinforce over and over and over again, and they become known for that idea. That is their brand. Think about Brene Brown and vulnerability. Think Oprah Winfrey and living your best life. Think Mel Robbins and the 5-second rule. Think James Clear and atomic habits. These speakers aren't necessarily sharing their personal transformation story, though some of them may weave it in from time to time. Instead, they're sharing a framework, a philosophy, or a way of thinking that shifts how you see the world. The goal here is to change mindsets, introduce new concepts, and become the person associated with that idea. Key questions to ask yourself if you think that you're a thought leader is, do you have a methodology, a framework, or philosophy that you teach? Do people come to you for a specific way of thinking or approaching problems? Are you more interested in shifting perspectives than telling your personal story? If you answered yes here, you may be a thought leader. The third type is honestly one of my favorites, and this is not me in any way, shape, or form, so I'll just tell you all that. The third type is the entertainer. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be a comedian, though you can be. But entertainers infuse performance into their talks. They use their body, props, humor, storytelling techniques, or theatrical elements to keep the audience engaged. Think of a speaker who uses a physical rope on stage to demonstrate feeling tied down to a situation, and then they dramatically cut the rope when they talk about breaking free. Think of comedians like Eddie Murphy doing stand up in that iconic red leather suit, using his entire body to tell a story. Think of speakers who do character voices or move across the stage with intentional choreography, or they use multimedia in creative ways. Entertainers can be a combination of other types, but what sets them apart is the performance element. They understand that speaking is not just about the message, it's about the experience that they create for the audience. So, questions you may be asking yourself if you feel like this is you, maybe, do you love being theatrical or using humor to make your point? Are you comfortable using props, movement, or creative elements on stage? Do you think of your talks as performances, not just presentations? If this sounds like you, lean into it. The world needs more speakers who like to make it fun, and you can really stand out if you identify as being an entertainer. The fourth type is the subject matter expert. This is someone with deep, specialized knowledge in a narrow field. Think of a scientist giving a TED talk about neuroscience. Think of a climate researcher presenting data on environmental change. Think of a cybersecurity expert breaking down the latest threats. Subject matter experts aren't necessarily motivational or theatrical, they're authoritative. Their power comes from their credentials, research, and depth of knowledge. Their audience is looking for expertise, data, and solutions to very specific problems. And honestly, sometimes the most boring topics can become fascinating when a true expert breaks them down in an accessible way. The questions you may ask yourself if you feel like this is you is, do you have specialized credentials, research, or deep expertise in a narrow field? Are you known for technical knowledge or being the quote unquote expert on something specific? And do you love diving into the details, educating others on complex topics? If yes, you are a subject matter expert and it's time for you to own that authority. Now, last but not least is the educator. I'm going to be honest here. This is probably the most accessible category of speaker and is where a lot of my visibility shift clients will start. The educator is someone who teaches practical frameworks, processes, and methodologies based upon work and experience, their actual work and experience. You might not have a dramatic transformation story, or you're probably not trying to be the next Brene Brown. And you may not want to dance on stage and be theatrical, and you may not have a PhD in something. But what you do have is knowledge. You have a process, you have insights from your own lived experience that can help others solve real problems. Examples of this could be a marketing consultant teaching their social media framework, a manager sharing their team building strategies, a career coach explaining their unique job search process, someone breaking down how to negotiate your salary or how to build systems in your business. Me, right now, breaking down the 5 types of speakers that I teach people in my program. Educators are practical, actionable, and relatable. They make complex things simple and they give you a roadmap. If this sounds like you, the questions you may be asking, or the questions you should ask yourself, are, do you have a process, system, or methodology you've developed through your work? Do you love teaching people how to do something step by step? Is your goal to give? You are an educator at heart, and that is incredibly valuable. Now, here's the beautiful part. You don't just have to be one type. The most powerful speakers are generally a blend. Like, I look at myself as being an educator and a thought leader. You might be a motivational speaker, but also an entertainer, or a subject matter expert and an educator. And your type can evolve over time. You might start as an educator teaching your process, but as you gain more experience and more notoriety, you evolve into a thought leader with an even bigger message. The goal here isn't to limit yourself, it's to give yourself a starting point. It's to help you stop trying to be all the things to all the people and lean into what feels most natural and authentic to you. So here's what I want you to do. 1, identify your primary type, the one that feels like home to you, where you were like, girl, that is me. That is me. You are speaking to me. And 2, identify if you have a secondary type, if there is one. And it's okay if you don't, but many of you may have two. And I want you to stop comparing yourself to speakers who are a completely different type. Stop forcing yourself to be motivational if you're naturally more educational. Stop trying to be funny if you're naturally authoritative. The world needs your voice, not some copy of someone else's. So if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I know my type, but I have no idea how to actually build visibility and start getting speaking opportunities, that is exactly what we do inside of the Visibility Shift. We help you clarify your message, identify your ideal stages, build your speaker assets, and create a visibility plan so you're not just sitting around hoping someone invites you to speak. You are actively creating opportunities. We work on your unique speaking style, your authentic presence, and how to position yourself as the go to expert in your space. If you want to learn more about the program, head to sign up for my webinar on building your personal brand through public speaking on February 4th by going to kimberlybonline.com/webinar, or send me a DM on Instagram or LinkedIn at KimberlyBOnline. And I'd love to chat with you to determine whether my program is the right fit for you. Until next time, may your next move be your very best move.